What is going on, everybody in the green room? Steve Rakin here. Welcome to a private green room show with my main man Tino Pass, which actually isn't his full last name. I'm not gonna pretend like I know how to pronounce it. Why don't you help me out, Tino?
Pasalakwa.
Pa- Hold on, what?
Pasalakwa.
Pasalakwa.
You got it. That's it.
Yes, Pasalakwa. I like it. Hey, good to have you on, Tino, man. How you been doing?
Yeah. Everything's great. Everything is good.
So we had a conversation, what was it, a couple weeks ago on my YouTube channel, Green Room Show.
Yep, that sounds right. Yep.
And there was a lot of really, really positive feedback. We talked about your journey selling shoes, and we talked about how you were able to quit your job a couple of years ago. And last year, you ended up selling, 2016? What was it, like over 3,000 pairs of shoes for like
Sure was.
208,000?
Yeah, it was actually a little over 3,800. And actually, I looked at the numbers. We actually sold closer to 214,000. But then after returns, that's what I was left with. So 208 is the number there.
Cool. That's really impressive. So for anybody who's interested in selling shoes on eBay, Tino's the main man. I'm calling him Tino Bambino because he's killing it with the shoes. So definitely be sure to check out the live show that we had, the Green Room show. But today we're going to be diving into some of the more advanced things, some strategies behind the scenes that we weren't able to cover during the show. And I'm also going to be diving into the Facebook group as well. If you see me looking this way, I'm looking in the Green Room at the Facebook group, and there's some questions and stuff people have been asking, but we have a little outline, some things that we're going to be covering today. So you ready to rock and roll and dive into this?
I'm ready when you are.
Cool, man. Let's do it. So let's talk about sourcing a little bit first, and then we're going to talk about, your inventory system, hiring employees, keywords, optimizing your listings. But let's jump into sourcing a little bit and talk about that. So, to do $208,000, well, over that, you've got to have quite a bit of inventory, right?
Yeah.
And one of the struggles I have, at least over here in Connecticut, and I'm just a little guy when it comes to selling shoes. I sell a whole bunch of different items. You're obviously full force into it. Is getting enough inventory. I see shoes and I pick up shoes all the time, but I don't see tons of them. So I'm kind of curious. What's your secret, like, to being able to source so many shoes to be able to get your numbers up that high?
Sure. Yeah. A lot of people ask me that, and it's not really a secret, but how I do that is I go to as many thrift stores as I can every day. So I don't just go into one store and it's like, well, I didn't find anything. I'll hit that one thrift store before I go home and hope I get lucky today. It's not that. And I go to as many stores as possible. I'm there when it first opens up. In some cases, not all the time. I'll start at 9 in the morning. And if I need a lot of inventory at that time, I'm going to stay out there till the last thrift store closes. So
wow.
I'm out there. But I'm going to tell you, if you're going to do shoes and you want to do a lot of shoes, something I figured out is I dropped my clothing. I know, yeah, you're thinking I might have left some money on the table, because I know there are $100 suits in these thrift stores, but the time it takes to go find all the clothing is keeping me from finding shoes. I could be in and out of a thrift store in 15 minutes. If it's a bust, I'm out. If I'm finding shoes, that's time well spent. I'll stay in that store while I'm finding them, and then I'm at my next store, so
I totally know what you mean, man, because
yeah,
there's an opportunity cost there, right? Like, I don't always scan books, right? I love selling books, and I've been getting into the book thing again. Like, I've been spending a lot more time doing books because I'm noticing, things are ramping up and stuff. With school season, I'm seeing more textbooks in, people are donating them. But, you only have so much time, right? Like, there's only so much time in the day, and I feel like there's always an opportunity cost to not getting to the next thrift store for that fresh cart that just came out, whether it's clothing or shoes. So that's interesting on your philosophy there. So you're really trying to not spend as much time digging through all the various sections, looking through clothing, electronics, books, shoes. You found your niche, and you get in, you get out, and you're just trying to hit as many as possible, right? Is that it?
That's right. That's exactly it.
Now, that's a lot of time right there, like going from like open to close. Is this something that you're doing like once a week, twice a week? Could you tell us like what's your routine like? Because I'm a guy who I love hearing like the behind the scenes stories of success,
Right.
because everybody sees like $208,000 and they're like,
Yeah.
wow, like this guy, like it just must come easy to him, or he just gets all this inventory like just
Yeah.
handed to him, right? Like people don't realize all the work that's going on. What's the system like?
Right.
What's the routine in terms of sourcing? Are you going out once a week, every single day, or do you just kind of play it by ear based on how much you have?
I definitely play it by ear. I mean, there was one day where I found close to 200 pairs of shoes in one day. Well, to me, that's like a home run thrifting day, to where it's like, or sourcing day, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, wow, I could actually stay home for 3 days in a row, you know? Well, I have to, because I have to clean most of those shoes anyways. So I really don't have a choice. But there are days where I don't find that many. Maybe I only find half as many, maybe 100 pairs of shoes in a day. Well, chances are I'm probably going to have to hit it one more time that week. So it all depends. There's no guarantee when you're outsourcing. So
We've got hardcore, hard hitting reseller John Cleater in the comments section, who's been killing it with Amazon FBA for years. He asks, and he's actually been asking a few questions behind the scenes. I think he's getting ready to make a move, man, on the shoes.
yeah,
John's asking, how much time do you spend in each store on average?
I would say right around 15 minutes. I'm in. I mean,
Wow.
it only takes, usually in thrift stores there's not a huge shoe section. Now there are some that do, but most of the thrift stores, it's just this one little corner in the back of the store or in the front of the store. I just do a scan through. I just walk through. You know, I don't lily dally. I don't, look at the ties, or I don't go into, I just stay focused on shoes, and I'm in and out of there in 15 minutes.
I was just having a conversation with a friend about how there's a lot of value in going to thrift stores regularly, for the
Mhm.
reason that you get to notice what's been sitting for a while. And while the competition's coming in, going through each and every item, spending 20, 30, 40 minutes. And this conversation was actually, the context was books. People come into the book section and they have to scan through for an hour. Whereas
Sure.
I know all the books that have been sitting there, believe it or not, if I go every single day. Is that the same with you, Tino, where like you go regularly and you could already tell, like, okay, I'm zipping through, this hasn't been replenished, versus, whoa, things look a little different here.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, I hit two Goodwills just about every other day, and I'm in and out of that store in 5 minutes, and I can always tell when they put a new pair of shoes on the shelf, because it looks a little different. Okay, it's like, what's different about this place? Oh, there's a new pair of shoes on the shelf. I could scan through it. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'm just looking through the comments. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop a line down below into the comments. Let's see. I want to ask you about, like, do you have any like special relationships that you've built with managers or anything like that, where like you can come and like pick up inventory, or like, or do you have any competitive advantages over the next guy that's allowing you to get more inventory in, or would you say most of your inventory is just showing up and looking for deals?
I'll tell you what, I am their best friend. When I come in that store, I mean, I'm nice to them. I never haggle with them. I never haggle with the price, ever. And I'm just overly nice to them, in that I've been rewarded, and I don't do that to be rewarded. I just like to be that person. I like to help them any way I can. I don't want them going out of business by any means. So I'll tell you what, there was one time, and it was a place in Plano, Texas. The manager came up to me and she said, "Hey, a truck just unloaded 26 bins of shoes. Do you want to come in our back room and just go through them before we put them out on the
How
shelf?"
many shoes are in a bin?
I would say probably, now women's shoes, you could probably fit 25 pairs of shoes in just one bin. Whereas
Wow.
men's shoes, you could probably fit about 10 pairs.
Oh, like
So
the little blue bins that
yeah,
go on the racks.
they're like this,
Yeah.
pretty good sized bins,
So
they fold
26
up on top.
bins, they tell you they have 26 new bins that came through the door. Do you want to take a look?
Right.
And you said no, of course. I don't want to intrude. No.
I said, let me grab 3 shopping carts and I'll meet you in the back room. So, so
So
yeah,
how did that pan
it's
out?
so nice. It's great, and I owe them pizza. I'm going to buy them lunch for the whole store one of these days, but I haven't done that. I feel really bad. I need to hook them up.
Hey, how do
But it pays to be nice.
okay, cool. How do you deal with the dry spells, right? I had a dry spell last week, and I dealt with the dry spell based on just looking, like I started looking at items I never look at, like different niches and stuff. But you're a shoe guy, so you're looking at shoes. How do you deal with a dry spell? I mean, I feel like the answer is gonna. I feel like what you're gonna say is, well, I just keep looking. I just keep going out. Is there any secret to that when things are slow and you're getting discouraged and you're like,
Yeah.
man, like what's going on here?
We always have a backup plan just in case something like that happens. And it's rare. I would say at the end of November, early December, picking was hard. I mean, I was finding shoes, but not near as many as what I was normally finding. And I don't know why. It was weird, but I wasn't finding as many. But as a backup plan, and we never ran out of inventory, I was still fine. But what I have as a backup plan is to relist aged inventory. So if there's a lot of inventory that's still sitting in our garage that's been there for over, I would say 7 months, delete that listing, give it a new eBay number, and start listing those items. I know we're investing a little bit more money into it, but you could actually raise the prices on that and cover your losses, because, and what I mean losses is paying that employee to list it again. I feel within the first 4 or 5 months, when you list an item, well, I'm sure we'll get to that later, but
It gets a little love. It gets extra love from the algorithm.
It does, absolutely. I say after the 4th or 5th month, you missed your boat. You can start discounting that item as much as you want, but no one's seeing it.
Dude, let's dive into that more, because
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation about this. I didn't go as deep as you were just going. So you're saying after 4 or 5 months, you can discount it, you could run sales, change keywords, pictures, right? I don't know how far you want to go. I guess if it was only a $30 item, you're not going to go that far.
Sure.
But you're telling me, based on your experience, after 4 or 5 months, eBay has suppressed you in a sense, and they're
Right.
and they're like,
absolutely. And I know you could call eBay and get like a stale listing report.
I've heard of that.
I've never done it. I just know that my item is stale because I might have a pair of I don't know, any popular pair of shoes, and if it's not getting any action, I already know it's stale. I don't have to waste the time to pick up the phone and call eBay. I already know just by the traffic it's generating. So I let it sit there for 6 months without touching it. But to me, rather than reducing it and selling it at cost, relist it.
You know what I wish existed? I don't know if this exists or not, or because I know how you're saying, like after like 4 or 5 months, you're essentially killing the entire listing and you're relisting it again.
Yeah.
What's your process for that? Are you saving all the pictures, copying and pasting everything in after?
You know, that's what I started doing, because I'm like, you know what? All these pictures are here. I could just save that picture. And that's what I started doing the first year we started selling shoes. But you know what? It takes about the same amount of time retaking the pictures than saving it. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to have to train somebody how to do this special thing. They're already trained in taking pictures. They already know how to do this. And I just throw it into the process. So it's just...
Dude, we need to come up with a software that allows you to automate that.
Wow. Yeah, I tell you what, I have a lot of software ideas. I really
do. Going into the comment section, we've got a bunch of peeps in there. What's going on? Big D Reseller, Chris S. We got John Cleater, Better Barbie. Loving the names. Chris S. Yes, this show will be archived in the Green Room University afterwards. Big D Reseller is asking, Tino, how do you get past the condition? I see good shoes, but pass because of the condition. So are you trying to get past the condition, or if the condition's bad, do you just pass on it and just altogether? Is there anything to do? Do you clean it? Is there anything you can do?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. And that's a good question, Big D. This all comes from experience. There are some shoes that I could look at and say, okay, this is a $50 sale. It's not the way it appears right now, but I could make this into a $50 sale by dumping 2 minutes of work into it. You know, I can shine these up. I can, you know, do a little bit of work to it to where it's worth me buying. Then there's some shoes that are just tore up, and it's like, forget it. It's not worth it. You can't fix it. It just let it go. It could be and it's tough because you see that brand and it's like, oh my gosh, if these were in good condition, I could sell these for $100. But guess what? Forget about it. It's not. Even
the cobbler can't fix it, man. The cobbler can't revive it.
You know, there's a lot of times where the cobbler can't even do it. So
what's one thing the cobbler can't fix?
That's the uppers, the leather uppers on a shoe.
Mm.
When that's torn, now he has helped me on one situation where he stitched it up, but it depreciated the shoe so much. I was still able to make money on it. That's why I did that, but that's a rare case.
How much does it cost if I had like a pair of like Allen Edmonds or Johnson and Murphy's? I've never had this done, so I'm not sure
Sure,
if I'm asking the right question. But if I wanted to get the bottoms, what's that? The soles, or
sure.
what's the terminology for the bottom of the shoes with the heel and then the is the heel one separate part and then the like the wooden part under it? What is that called?
Yeah, there's the heel replacements, and the heel replacements, that's that's less than a $20 job.
Like out the door, like with labor and everything?
Yep, it's less than $20, and that's both heels, putting two new heels on it. Now, some places will charge 25 to 30. You just have to shop around and find the right cobbler. So
Got it.
you can find them for under 20. Then there's the whole, you could keep the same heel that's on it, but if there's a soft spot on the leather part of the sole, you could redo the whole sole. And I'm wanting to say he charges what he calls that is a half sole. And I'm
Okay.
wanting to say he charges $45 for that.
So half sole because it doesn't have the heel. Is that right?
Right. He's keeping the same heel that's on it.
So
So
45 for the half sole and then
right.
20. Have you ever had to replace the heel and the half sole?
Yes. Yeah. And what that is a full sole replacement. And that's the sole and the heels. And normally when I do that, that's only when I have a super high-end shoe.
Can you give an
So
example of like any time you've done that? Can you remember off the top any time like a brand or like an instance somebody might want to invest that time into that?
sure. And that's Alden's.
Yep. We were talking about that. Yeah.
Any Crockett and Jones, any Ralph Lauren Purple Label shoes, and I think those are made by Edward Green. So I mean, there's a lot of high-end shoes out there. Allen Edmonds, any of the Shell Cordovan uppers, Allen Edmonds. If you want to dump 80, $75 into them, those shoes will sell for $350. I mean, you could ask Ronnie, Heart Pickers. I mean, he sells a lot of high-end shoes.
Mm.
So he knows about those, but those aren't shoes you run across all the time. So
Let's switch topics from sourcing and some random
sure.
questions. We'll dive back into the comment feed for the folks watching live, and thanks everybody for watching live. Let's talk about your inventory system because there were quite a few people asking about your inventory system, and they were curious how you go about it. So if you guys are in the green room, Tino actually shared a picture with me, a couple pictures of his garage. Here in my garage, he's got all his shoes. Ty Lopez would have a field day in there, but I posted a couple of the pictures that you shared with me in there, and people were like, "Holy mackerel! Like, how does he like keep track of his inventory and everything?" So, can you talk about the method to your madness in your garage with that picture? And I'll repost it in the green room for you folks. If you can't find it, get it up to the top of the feed. But what's going on, man, in the garage with how many items do you have in inventory? How many shoe items do you have in your garage?
Right now, I'm in my garage. I have about 1,800 pairs of shoes.
Wow.
So 1,800. At one time, I've had 2,200. I know it. So I'm trying to get back up there.
Love it.
And I think with the system we have set in place, I think I could probably fit about 3,500 pairs of shoes in that two-car garage on the system we have set up right now. So
what do you have for racks?
I don't know if you guys can see these racks right here behind me.
Okay.
But it's like I don't know if that's a 6-footer. Actually, out there, they're 7-foot racks.
But you don't stack them on each other in each tier, do you?
Now that's a point. What I did is I bought some other racks that I threw away the poles, and I took those racks to where I could just I could add more racks in these shelves.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. So you've got everything stored on those. So now let's talk about like from step one, let's talk about the process, and we're gonna get into the garage. But you buy 200 shoes. Where do those 200 shoes go?
Okay, so from start to finish.
Yeah.
Okay, when I come home, I'm unloading my car, bring it in the office, which is this office right here.
Got it.
As you can see, this mess of shoes that I have all over the place.
Those aren't listed.
No, they're not listed. No,
Okay.
That's my death pile that everyone talks about. So.
No, it's not, man. It's not dead yet. It's got a process for it though. A death pile is something that you're not going to list. That's in the listing area.
No, this right here will probably, with the employee that We have, I mean, this won't take long to list. So, but anyways, what happens is it gets put in here, and we have an Excel sheet, an inventory Excel sheet. So we're really vague with that. We just put in like, we put the name of the shoe like Keen, and then we'll just do men's size 12. That's all the information we put in there. And then whatever row we're on that Excel sheet, it's numbered. So that number is the inventory number for that shoe.
Okay.
And let me see. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's my inventory number that I just stick in my shoe. It's as simple as that. It's super easy.
Is that a sticker?
That's just a sticker, yeah.
So a little sticker, 16 something. It's a little too bright, but I got it.
Yeah, it's 11,689. So 11,689. So that's the 11,689th item that I had for sale. So
wow. Okay, cool. So you get your shoes in the little den room. Then you have your Excel spreadsheet. You put in the inventory number, shoe, men's, cost and everything. And what's the purpose of that Excel spreadsheet?
Okay, so whenever we list the item, we actually put the inventory number in our listing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the custom label SKU area.
Yep, I started using that recently. It's great when you sell your items.
Right. Now you only have access to that if you have a store membership. Like if you're you don't get that if you don't have a store. So
you don't get access to that on your mobile phone either.
No, you don't. Man, I wish they would give me that.
I know. I think they'll fix it soon enough.
Sure. So that's where I put all that information. I put in a couple other items in there too, but we'll go into that later. So whenever the item sells, the location's in there too. So in the garage, I know exactly what shelf the shoe is on. I grab it, ship it out. And then whenever Christina runs the numbers for the day, she's the manager we hired. She knows exactly what item on the inventory list to pull off of our on-site inventory.
Okay, I see.
You know what I mean? So what we do is we just copy that listing, and then we go to our month sales, like right now we're in June. So she'll go to June 2017, add it in there, put the price of whatever we paid for it, because it's already in our Excel sheet, and then she'll start adding all the fees, what PayPal took out, what eBay took out, how much we charge for shipping, how much it cost us for shipping, what it sold for. And at the
that's cool.
very end, it'll tell you how much money we made on that item. So every item that we sell here is detailed. So
wow. At what step in the process are you actually cleaning the shoes and everything? So they come into that room. Are you cleaning it first before you put it in the spreadsheet and everything?
No, actually we put it all in the spreadsheet raw. I don't mess with them. I just take them straight out of the bags from Goodwill or wherever I'm at. We put them in our Excel sheet and they go into this mess right over here. Then from this mess, what I'll do is I'll start picking out the items that don't have to be touched up. A lot of them are in great shape, and I'll put them in the other room right over here. And that's where the photography happens. So that's set up to be listed. Those are ready to go. I don't even have to mess with them. And that filters out probably 25% of the shoes that don't have to be, touched up. So then what I do, just whenever I have free time in the evening, I'll just put on some really nice soothing music or some crazy music. It just depends on my mood. And I'll just sit here and I'll clean shoes, and I think soon, I'm thinking probably within 6 months, I'm going to hire somebody and I'm going to teach them how to clean shoes so I could be out grabbing more shoes. So
how many, let's jump around a little bit, because I'm curious. You're talking about employees and stuff. How many people do you have helping you right now in your business?
Right now, just one.
So you have one person, and that was it Christina? Christina. So she's your manager. What are her responsibilities and tasks, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind at all. I structured this business to where Christina gets paid a percentage of what this business does. She actually gets paid into 3 different areas, and if you don't mind, I could kind of go into that right now.
I would. I think a lot of people would be curious in hearing, myself included, because I've always paid based on per item basis or based on hourly. I've never I would love to pay somebody based on profit percentages, maybe, but I feel like it would be too much of a daunting task. So I'm curious to understand how you went about that.
Right. So, okay, let me tell you her duties first. She handles all the returns. She answers all the questions.
So
She
she's got the eBay message. You don't even have to deal with that monster
no,
of
she does that.
nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody
That's a
wants,
beautiful. That's a beautiful thing right there. Okay,
right?
cool.
She handles all of that. I trained her how to ship out. So she ships out. Now, this is something that me and her work together with. If I have time in the evening, I'm going to knock out half of those packages. The more I can do, the more productive she'll be for me. So any little thing I could do, the more I work, the more money we make. So shipping out, I know there's a whole lot. She organizes the warehouse. After all of the items are listed, she puts away everything in and put a location in our system for the locations in our garage.
Yep.
And she's also going to be training our employees. So we're going to actually I think in 30 days from now, we're going to hire a part-time employee. And then 6 weeks after that, our plan, and that's if everything goes okay, we're going to hire another part-time employee.
Wow. Okay. So you've got
that's our duties.
So you've got the manager right now, and is she listing or doing photography or any of that, or is she doing everything?
Yeah.
So she's
yeah.
doing it all in a sense. I mean, besides the sourcing, you're bringing it in, you're cleaning.
I'm cleaning, and I'm teaching her how to clean as well, because there's going to be times where I'm out on the road, and if she could see something that I missed, I want her to see it. I want her to know everything about this business, because she's going to be our right-hand person. So I'm teaching her everything.
What times does she come in and what times does she leave? Like what days and everything?
Okay, she works on Monday through Friday, 9 in the morning till 5 in the evening. So it's banker's hours. It's 9
So
to
9 to
5.
5. So she's not on a salary, because you said she's getting a percentage. But
Yeah.
one of my concerns was you're doing everything out of your house, correct? Like,
yeah.
how did you get over the fear of like the trust and everything, or was it like a family friend, or did you start off small and like, because that's your whole day right there, 9 to 5 in a sense. I mean, you can't be sitting there babysitting her, because then it's not worth your time. So how do you have a life and run your business?
Sure. And I'll tell you what, that's tough, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a sacrifice. Me and my wife, we chose, what, we're gonna do this. We hate it. The worst thing I hate in the world is that somebody's walking in my door at 9 o'clock. Now, it is nice. I mean, she's great, but I want my privacy. Everyone does. It's tough, but I'm telling you right now, it's a sacrifice. It's an investment. It's something we have to go through right now until we get our warehouse. So
you're gonna get a warehouse.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
Because then you could just give her a key and she'd come in and go, and you could just check in, a couple hours a day or whatnot.
Yep, exactly. That's our plan.
Oh wow.
So that's a future plan here. But going back to the pay structure,
I was just gonna ask you.
Okay, so now she gets paid 3 different ways. We set her up hourly, piecework, and commission. So she gets paid up in 3 different ways. Now, since she handles everything, she gets a small percentage off of everything that sells, and it's the total price. It's not counting the shipping costs, that we charge the customers. It's just the price of the item. So she gets a percentage of that, and then she also gets piecework. She gets $1 for every item that she lists.
Okay.
And then we set it up to where she gets 25 cents for every item the employees list. So if the employees list, 4 items an hour, she has $1 an hour raise.
Oh wow! So you're essentially giving her incentives to continue to grow the business.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want her to hold her employees accountable. Like, hey, how many did you list today? Your goal is 25. Because she gets paid from that. So, and then if she has time, she gets paid $1 for every item that she lists as well. And then she also gets paid for showing up. So she does get a small hourly rate. And I don't even want to tell you that because it's so minute.
Right.
But adding those 3 together, it made sense for us, So now
you think it's a good wage for her?
It is. It's great. Yeah, it sure is. And then the employees, the part-time employees, I decided, and through experience, I figured out it's really hard to find a person that's willing to list 8 hours straight. I found out that they don't stick around, So I decided, let's get 4-hour shifts to where they hit it hard. They'll be productive all 4 hours, and they could go home. Yep, they could go home and they still have a level head. So
I don't have a level head after 2 hours of listing.
It's tough. It's not easy. So and I have them set up on a small hourly rate, and then $1 for every item that they list, and a percentage of everything that they personally list whenever it sells.
Can I ask you how in the world are you tracking like how many items she's listing, the percentage of the sales? Like, do you have a software, or do you have her tracking everything manually? And then also, I guess, how do you deal with returns and stuff as well? Because then the profit's getting pulled out of your pocket. So I guess we'll start with number one. How do you track like the fixed base listings and
right.
the percentage of the sales?
And the
Yeah.
commission. Okay. Well, let's start with the piecework. She has a report that she fills. It's kind of like the honesty game, but I check it. She's been working with us for a little over 6 weeks now. 6 weeks, and I check it, and she has been spot on every time. In the future, I'm going to spot check that.
Got it.
So that's kind of the honesty game on the piecework part. Then the commission part, I just go into my sold listings, and yeah, I can set that over. I forgot what it's called, but you can import that into an Excel document, and you can either do it that way, which I've done that, but to me it's a lot easier. I have them put their name in the item. What is that called? The SKU.
The custom label.
Yeah, custom label. So they put their name in the custom label, so it's super easy to find out who listed that item just scrolling down. So every day I have an Excel sheet, and then what I do is I just add those numbers up for every day, and I just do that every morning. It takes me, well, right now it's pretty easy. I only have one employee, so it doesn't take me a whole lot of time, but within 2 or 3 minutes, I can have her numbers done every day. So that's how I do that. And then for the hourly wage, I just use an online time clock. So
okay, cool. Let's see. I'm going to go into the comments, see if there's anybody asking any questions right now. John Cleater saying warehouse is the way to go. I believe John has a warehouse
man, I'm jealous.
So you should definitely reach out. You guys should definitely connect. Super smart guy right there. We have, let me see. Let's see if we have any more questions about the employees going down. Any tips for like managing your employees or
yes. Yeah.
Training them, different things like that?
Something that I left out, and I think this is really important because it hit me on my first employee. Well, first of all, don't hire in this type of business, don't hire somebody hourly wage. That whether you think they're doing it or not, or if they are doing it or not, you're always going to be wondering, are they riding the clock? And then you won't have a peace of mind, so, and my first employee was hourly wage, and I was going crazy. So stay away from hourly wage in this type of business. And two, on the commission part of my pay structure, it's prorated by however many hours they work. So, Christina, she has to work a minimum of 35 hours every week. If she works 35 hours or more, she gets 100% of her commission.
Oh, that is genius right there.
Right. So if she only works 80% of that week, well, she only gets 80% of her commission. So that it's this whole business. I want it incentive.
How did you figure that out? I'm just curious.
Now that one I just kind of came up with. I'll tell you what, it's well, actually I learned from experience. One of my employees, right after, it was my second employee, what happened was I had him set up on that same pay structure, but I didn't prorate his commission. Well, he called in all the time, and guess what? He was making all of his commission. So it's like, come on, man. So once I did that, guess what? They show up every day.
Wow. Isn't that something you've got? I guess the lesson learned, the one thing I learned from that, of you sharing that, is you've got to understand what drives your helper. What's driving them? They're not there because they necessarily, maybe they like you or whatnot, and maybe they're having a good time, but they're there because they want to make money.
That's why I want them there. Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's very, very interesting right there. What do you think your biggest challenge is having an employee?
The biggest challenge is the training period. That is extremely challenging. And there's a lot of resellers out there that don't have an employee. And I honestly think it's because of that training period. They would love to have an employee, but it kind of goes hand in hand with trust. Can you actually trust somebody to do that? Well, to build that trust, you have to train them. You know,
Mm.
you have to train them, and then you have to let it go. You know, is it going to get done the same way you do it? Absolutely not.
Hmm.
But that training period is it's an investment. Yeah, you're not going to list as many items during that day, but it's an investment, and you just have to get through it. But it's worth
Awesome.
it.
I'm going to take the live feed, and if anybody wants to come in and ask some questions, I'm going to invite you guys in. I am going to say, though, if you see the link in the description right now of the actual YouTube feed, only come in if you have headphones on, and make sure you come in on desktop. Don't come in on mobile because it's going to be it's going to be crazy. But I'm going to give you guys the link to join on in. If anybody wants to pop on in, come on in, ask some questions, join the discussion. It's just a green room exclusive. So obviously, if you're watching this live if you're watching this archived, you're not going to be able to get in. But just posted that in the YouTube. If anyone wants to come on in and say hello, night required. What's going on, man? What was Tino selling before shoes?
I started off with antiques and collectibles. My first big purchase, and that was right when I was a valet here in Dallas, was vintage lighters. I bought like 400 of them, and I tell you what, they were $2 a piece, and some of these lighters sold for $90 a pop. So I mean, it was huge profit, and that's when I was hooked. And then I bought I would just start going to estate sales and just buying a lot of just old vintage, odds and ends. But I really wanted to quit my job. So I wanted to find something that had unlimited inventory to where I could concentrate on. So
I love it. Very cool, man. It looks like you found what's working best for you. Let's transition over to keywords and optimizing listings on eBay. And again, for the folks, if you want to come on in, hang out with us for probably another 10, 15 minutes, feel free to jump in through that link. What's your process for listing an item? I mean, once you get it and you photograph it and everything, do you have anything special you do with the titles or the descriptions or anything like that? Anything worthwhile sharing?
Yeah, and this is what's really important of knowing your niche that you're selling, because I know what my customers are going to be searching. So when you sell a certain item or you have something out for sale, is you want it to be found, and the only way for it to be found is search words. And then the kicker is the picture. So once they find it, if that picture is attractive, they're clicking on it. So you want it to be found, and that's search words. So, I mean,
yeah, give us an example if you want. If you want to pull a
sure.
shoe out and give us an example of maybe a search word that you definitely would put in that title.
Yeah, sure. So right here is a pair of just some Allen
Allen's.
Edmonds.
Yeah, I knew those were Allen's.
Allen Edmonds, and they're not in the best of shape, but this right here is a split toe Oxford. So first of all, Allen Edmonds, you want to put that in there for sure. And then I think the insole's in bad shape, but I think these are Byron's.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think these are Byron's. So you'll want to put that in there as well. Then you'll want to put split toe dress casual Oxfords. So you want to do dress, you want to do casual, because I'll tell you what, guys, there's a lot of places in this country where this is a casual shoe. And then there's a lot of places in this country where this is a dress shoe. So
that might be a dress shoe for me.
Right. So you want to put both in there if you can. I know those are secondary ones, but what's really important is split toe Oxford. The color, the material, leather. So this one is actually, I think they actually call this one, Allen Edmonds calls it a chili brown. So you want to put chili brown split toe dress casual Oxford. So
how does somebody find those keywords if they don't know the first thing about shoes? Are you going through looking at similar items which have sold, and then you're kind of taking keywords that you see are relevant based on really good selling shoes? How do you go about that? Do you go to the manufacturer website? What advice would you have for somebody who's new?
A lot of that came from experience. I mean, you'll learn through experience, but you don't want to get misguided. I'm going to tell you right now, on eBay, there's a lot of amateur sellers.
No way, man. Everybody on eBay is like,
wow. And I was misguided when I first started selling shoes. I knew a little bit about shoes, but I didn't know as much as I know now. And I'll tell you what, I mean, somebody would have listed these as loafers, You know, well, we all know these aren't loafers. These are an Oxford style shoe, you know? So you don't really, when you sell similar, you know, you might be taking information from an amateur. You want to know your niche to where you're like, I can't put that in there because that, you know, this item will get returned not as described. So you want to know your niche. But when I first started, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research, going to the manufacturer's website, pulling the numbers. So you're right. That's exactly what I had to do because I didn't want to give out false information. And guess what? I'm guilty of it. And I did. And guess what? It gets returned. This is not described correctly. This is not that line. Because with shoes, it's really tricky. There's so many different lines. There's so many different Cole Haans out there. There's Lunar Grand. There's Grand OS. There's all different kinds. And if you copy a listing and you put the wrong information on there, the customers will get you for that. So,
and you're driving bad traffic to your listing too, because someone's looking for a loafer, they're typing it in, and then they see an Oxford. So
right.
Conversions are going to go down, and you know eBay probably penalizes you if you have a ton of people hitting your listing but no conversions, or watchers or anything. John Cleater's asking any other eBay stores that he likes to observe for tips and keywords. Is there any other, you know, eBay stores that maybe you look up to, or maybe you
know,
may make any sense?
Yeah, I think there's one called Shoes Forever.
Shoes Forever.
Yeah, they're based out of North Carolina. I don't really know that much about them, but I've looked up their store, and they're pretty accurate on their shoe descriptions. They know what they're selling. I can tell. Now, there's a lot of big companies, and I don't BFHO, I mean, they're out there. They know what they're doing. Save Apparel, I think, is another one. But I can tell you, Shoes Forever, they're spot on when it comes to shoes. Now, they have a lot of inventory. They have a lot of inventory. I think they're proud of their stuff. They have their price. They have.
You think they have the same business model as you, thrifting and stuff, or?
You know, I think they're actually getting it from directly from the manufacturer, whether they're returns or liquidation. I'm not positive on that. But I hope to meet them one day. I might look them up and take a trip out there to see what they're doing.
Cool. I don't know if it's Shoes Forever, because Shoes Forever comes up and there's like a 41 feedback.
No. These people, I figured it up. They actually have 2 eBay sites, and I figured they sell about 65 pairs of shoes a day.
Jeez. Yeah, so I'm looking up the wrong one. But let me ask you a little off topic. Where do you want to take this shoe business, man? Like, how far can you see yourself taking it? I mean, do you see a bottleneck? Is there something holding you back from going to like maybe $500,000 from 200,000? Like, is that possible with your current business model?
Yeah, I think we could actually get to $500,000 a year with just me being the picker, but that's where it bottlenecks is me. You know, it's hard for me to train somebody to do what I do, you know, to go out and find the shoes. So, and believe me, I think about that every day. You know, I don't want to stop at $500,000 a year. That bugs the crap out of me. You know, I don't want to stop there. So I'm coming up with ways, and I have a lot of ideas in my head on how I'm going to structure my business to grow. But as of right now, I still have room to grow at the rate we're going. So it gives me a little bit more time to think about how I'm going to handle it in the future. But I think in the next year and a half, we're going to structure it this way until I come up with a better system to where we can transition into something to where we could start hitting the $1 million mark.
Very nice. We got a question on Facebook from Paul Wang asking, please ask what is his typical sell-through rate? How many shoes would he expect to sell a month for every 100 in inventory? My
sell-through rate right now is, you know, it gets as low as 0.5% a day. And it doesn't really get close. It won't get to 1% a day, but it's right in between there. So I would say on average, right around 0.7% a day. So it does require quite a bit of inventory to make a living on selling shoes. So that's one of the negative sides to it, you know. But I will say it is popular enough, and you don't have to invest a whole lot of money into that. I know I'm kind of going off topic here, because you can find, like these shoes right here, I paid $7.50 for these Allen Edmonds. You know, come on. It's not, and you know, these will sell in this condition, they'll sell for $40 or $50. So, but I
Awesome.
don't. But yeah, I would say about a 0.5% sell through rate a day to 0.7%.
Cool. Just looking through the comments. I know there was a question that came in from the Bonafide Hustler. I can't find it. I think it was something along the lines of like, what are the top 20% of shoes that you sell? But there's probably so many different shoes. Are there a couple of your like main bread and butter shoes that you always go for? Like let's maybe women's. Like what are some main women's shoes that you like to go for?
Main women's is Tory Burch is a high seller. If you could get your hands on Tory Burch, it really doesn't even matter the style. That name, when you put it out there, it's going to sell.
I never even knew that.
Yeah, Tory Burch sells flats, heels, wedges. It doesn't matter. Flip flops. I mean, I've sold a pair of Tory Burch flip flops for $80, and they were used. So yeah,
Holy
Tory Burch. That's a good one. And I know we've already discussed Dansko. That's a high end one. Sanita. Man, when you put me on the spot,
Dude, there's a lot. It's funny because I know my clothing, and people ask me like, "Well, what are the top clothing brands?" And I'm like, Ralph Lauren. Like, it's so hard to think off the top, but we're actually working on a project where we're going to be sharing like the top brands. We can't say too much right now, but we got some cool stuff coming out. So Green Room will definitely be hooking you up with a special rate on that. But there's a lot out there. I would say honestly, if you want to learn anything, whether it's shoes, clothing, whatever, just go into the sold listings, right? Do you spend time in the sold listings studying different brands and whatnot still?
Every now and then when I get an odd item, because
when you were new.
Oh, when I was new, that's all I was in, man. I was in sold listings. But now, I price everything blind. I don't research 90% of my items. I already know the price. So I price it. I don't spend that time. To me, yeah, I might be off $5 here, $5 there, but the time that I saved where I don't have to research all the items, I'm winning.
I agree.
So that's how I handle that. But every now and then I'll come across something. I'm like, I think I got something here. Let me look these up. So, I just ran across a pair of shoes, Balenciaga. Have you ever heard of that brand?
How do you say that?
It starts with a B. It's called the Balenciaga.
I'm not sure. I might have to see the tag, but off the top, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, Balenciaga, and it said Paris on it. And, I had heard of that brand, but I had never come across that pair of shoes, and I found it at a Goodwill. And I'm like, man, I've heard of this brand. I looked it up. I'm like, wow. I put it in my cart, and it took 2 months to sell, but we sold them for $150. And they were just these women's flats. There was nothing to them. And the average Joe Blow is just going to walk right past those. So, yeah, so Balenciaga is a really high-end shoe. If you guys ever see that, pick it up.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing. It is that time, so.
Oh, man, that sucks.
I know. It's that time. I hate when it gets to that time. But hopefully everybody enjoyed this video. This video is going to be archived in the Green Room University catalog of awesome videos that only Green Room members get to access. So I want to thank you for being a Green Room member recently. Welcome to the fam. Thank you for coming on the show and providing massive amount of value. If anyone else has any more questions, feel free to, drop a line in Facebook or tag Tino, and maybe he can answer the question for you. But thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. And, your YouTube channel, Tino, the Soul Advisor.
Yep. That's right.
Cool. Well, we're going to be sure to spread the word in the Green Room and pass that name around for anyone looking to learn about shoes, because you got a lot of videos on your channel as well.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's not a ton,
dude,
but I'm working.
You're building up your shoe archive over there, so
okay.
I'm super proud of what you're doing over there. Very grateful for you to come on the show, and welcome to the Green Room. Thanks for being a part of it, and hopefully everyone found value in it. So thanks again, Tino.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see you guys.